All right, guys. Well, let's talk about Dragon's Crown. I first saw this game. I believe I saw some thread on NeoGAF. They were all talking about it. And they posted some screenshots and some artwork and stuff. And that, as soon as I saw it, I was like, bam, pre-order. So fast forward to a couple months ago, Tom and I actually saw it at E3. There we are. We were pretty much blown away by this game.
Those jugs.
So
I didn't even notice that until you guys just said it now when you're playing the footage.
Yeah, you did.
I honestly had no idea, and then it's come up subsequently about, oh, the sorceress, she's got big boobs. And I was like, oh, and then I've since seen pictures, and now I see the footage here. I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. Classy.
Yeah, hey, what is let's start with the graphics.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready to review now.
Yes.
I've got my hat on.
Yes, there it is.
I'm ready.
He has the dragon's crown.
Awesome.
I am now prepared to review Dragon's Crown.
Legend.
I wrested it from its mighty talons.
There it is.
I took this from the sorceress.
All right,
gave
guys,
it
let's
to
talk about
me.
the
Take anything
graphics.
from the sorceress.
Say-
She took it from you.
The graphics in this game kick ass. It's all 2D, but everything's high quality. The animations are silky smooth. I really like the art style in this game. If you're one of those types of people that has to play the latest 3D or whatever, you don't want to do TD.
Get a life.
2D.
Try
Yeah,
something else.
This is not your game.
Don't play this game.
The graphics in this game are one of the standout features.
I like it
That's
with a
what I
little
had.
minion.
It's
So
like,
thoughts on the graphics? What do you
It
guys?
kind of makes me think of like Magic Sword from like Super Nintendo.
oh yeah,
Not just graphics wise, but like just overall
The
game.
Overall,
coloration
yeah.
and
what it makes me think of like the graphics remind me of like an old fantasy painting. Like when you look at like old
Boris
editions of like
Vallejo.
when you look at old like editions of like Lord of the
Frank-
Rings
Frank-
and stuff, like you see like the
Frank
old
Frazetta
illustrations. It's like that, like animated on screen that you play, and it has a really cool like painted look, and it really adds to it. I like it, love it.
Yeah. It kind of it's weird. It looks like a fantasy painting, and it reminds me of like
Jared.
a flat Jared. It looks kind of like a Flash game too, almost.
It does look Flash-like. I thought that too, and it kind of put me off of it when you started looking at it. But
Arno,
it's obviously not just Flash.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like
it's
the
better
same
than
thing
that.
I said about DuckTales. Like when you first see screenshots, you're like, that looks kind of funny. But when you actually play it and see it in motion, it really
they
fits.
add a lot of effect to it with the Flash and the
exactly.
lighting
So when
and-
it really looks nice. I mean, for what they're going for, they nailed it. I mean, all the effects are there. And some of the boss battles look really cool, especially when you get like the bigger monsters and like there's multiple parts of them like moving around.
Yeah,
and, like,
that
these
is
big sprites.
some of those bosses are pretty impressive, actually.
It reminds me a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons game as well.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Some of
It's,
the same
exactly the
people
same thing.
who made it. So they
Which
did this,
would
so
make
that's that
sense,
Similar
yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't complain about the graphics. They weren't trying to go for flashy like 3D like high polygon counts. Very high quality.
When you paint it,
2D.
it always looks nicer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, I mean, nothing. Everything looks like they. It looks like what they were going for. I can't really say anything bad about these graphics. They look good. They get the point across, and it's pretty.
Yeah, so I mean, you can tell
All
that
right.
from the footage. This is pretty much how the actual gameplay looks. But there's also, you saw it too a while back, the warrior Roland. There's a bunch of kind of cutscene type things like that, and the characters are not those static characters during the cutscenes. They're not animated a whole lot, but everything is just super high quality. Everything looks awesome. The graphics in this game are for 2D are definitely outstanding. So
yeah, the game looks really good.
So there you go. Okay, sound. Sound is awesome. One of the things I want to note is Tom, when we were playing this game at E3, I thought I was listening to the music in particular actually, and I was thinking, this sounds a lot similar to Final Fantasy 12. And the reason is because I looked at the notes later, because it's the same guy. Hitoshi Sakimoto did the music for this, right? So I was like, wow, it does sound a lot similar. So apparently he hasn't updated his sound libraries in 8 years, but it doesn't matter. It's very, very good. If you're going to compare the two, though, I can't put the music in this game on the same level as Final Fantasy 12, but you got to consider too. Final Fantasy 12 had a
It's a different type of game.
Completely
so,
different. It had a massive budget compared to this.
Yeah.
So
while they're both like RPGs, I mean, I still qualify this as an RPG. This is more of an arcadey side. It has that epic like soundtrack as you're just going through dungeons, but I don't think it's supposed to have like. Whereas a Final Fantasy, I think it's it's
cinematically timed with the action.
Exactly, but this works good. I felt like it had that like that booming soundtrack that came in, and it was like it really brought you into that epic medieval feel. And then the sound effects too, like the monsters made sounds. You got the spell sounds going off, the clashing of swords, like metal and everything. Everything fit there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I didn't play this, but does it have that repetitive feel that you get sometimes with a beat up, where like the guy always makes the same sound when he dies, so you start hearing
I mean,
there's some of that. Yeah.
Okay.
I did notice just like with the character, like when you go to buy items, like it's like the same track, but they record it differently. Like like when you resurrect somebody or bury some like bones, like it's like, oh, may they rest in peace. But then there's always may they rest in peace. Like
there's a couple different takes
so they
on
changed
it.
the tone a little bit.
They do that, and even like just like with the sound, like I like how there's a narrator in the game. Just like it's kind of like narrating the story and the quest to you, and it kind of like really, I don't know, it just feels like you're playing like an epic quest.
Yeah, like an epic storybook quest too. Like.
Yeah.
I should note too, if you got this game, I don't know how long they're going to leave it up, but you can. There is a deal. It might be the only DLC they do. It's free for right now, anyways. It's the narrator pack, so you can actually change the narrator voice to the original, and then all the character class voice versions of it. So you can actually, if you're getting tired of the main narrator, download this pack that's for free right now. You can kind of cycle through the voices to mix it up.
That was a cool touch.
That's awesome.
I noticed that too. So. Awesome. Oh, let's see. There was another note I had about the music in this game, and I don't remember. That's what it was. So yeah, I mean, like I think so. Like the level themes and stuff, they all do their job really well. But like especially the boss theme, like the boss theme really gets you pumped up to fight the bosses and stuff. So that's really good execution there on the music for this.
Yeah, I mean everything about the bosses in this game get me pumped up. Like the presentation, the actual gameplay mechanics of the boss battles, and then that music like pumping in, getting you ready to like have this epic battle against some huge monster.
Yeah, totally. Here's one of the bosses actually.
There we go.
The Doom Beetle.
I fought this thing so many times. I got my whole pattern down and everything with my dwarf. Like I can get this thing down in like 20 seconds now.
Yeah.
Like I got it perfected.
Yeah. Oh man!
I don't even hit those cocoons anymore that you have to. I should point out, I guess. So should we jump into gameplay a little bit?
Yeah, let's roll right on over to gameplay then.
So yeah, gameplay standard beat 'em up, but with I
RPG
like to describe
elements,
it as Final Fight or Streets of Rage mixed with Diablo.
I could see that. Okay.
Obviously, you get your brawler aspects. I could say the Dungeons and Dragons brawlers, but I'll say
Rasten Saga.
Yeah, or you got one of the fantasy ones, but Streets of Rage is a very popular one. So I say that brawler mechanics like that, and then I say like Diablo because you're really going through these dungeons over and over again. You're getting new loot and you're leveling up, and this is actually right here where you get your skill points from leveling up, and you put them into those cards, and that's like your tech tree, you could say, or your skill tree, and where you want to, you don't want to just put points in everything. You really want to work on a certain type of build for your character for what you're doing. So very much like Diablo but like I said, gameplay like the old school brawlers. So I like both types of games. I like the loot gathering aspect and character building in Diablo, and I always love playing. And there's a nice butt.
Oh boy,
love it.
There's a couple of these. Yep. So I'll say I played as a sorceress, but there's a bunch of characters in this game. They all play differently. The controls are spot on. The enemies are challenging. I think though
swimming in shallow water. Sorry, just reading the title is very funny.
It definitely catches your attention. The story, though, takes a backseat to the gameplay for sure. There's going to the shops, there's going through the dungeons, getting loot, leveling it up. Those are the main attractions for this game.
The story is very, it's there just because they have to put something. They can't just say, here's a bunch of dungeons, go through and get loot. But very much in the same vein, into my opinion, as Streets of Rage, Final Fight,
not much story.
And then even the Diablo
the
series.
The story's pretty thin in those games.
It's I think the latest Diablo they tried to make it a little bit like meatier with the big cinematics, but still it's so paper thin. I don't think anyone plays those games either, the brawlers or those loot games like Diablo for the stories. I just played out. We were talking about Torchlight Torchlight 2, I played through that one as well. Same thing. You know, I kind of paid attention to the plot. I didn't care much about it though. I just wanted to go through dungeons, kill enemies,
smash guys,
and get loot and gold. And same thing with this. You know, the story's whatever. You know, I'm not expecting anything special. I just
story doesn't matter. You just want to jam this game.
I just want to jam that turbo.
You want jam those spells
on YouTube.
Jam those spells.
That's totally the point here. Not much else. Let's. You guys want to touch on the online?
Oh, look at those guys.
There we are again.
So
two very handsome guys.
Where?
On the screen before. No, not those guys. The other guys. They were just on the
Same
screen.
Guys. Well, I was there.
Anyway.
If you want, let's talk about the online. Overall, I mean, the online is okay. I thought it could have been better. You got to play the game for about 6 or 7 hours. At least that's how long it took me. It took me about 6 or 7 hours, and then the multiplayer actually unlocks. So you go through the game once, and then you got to go through the dungeons again. But then you have access to the online, so you can link up with people, and you can have some.
Do you have to get to
action.
a level or something? Or?
No, what it is. Okay, so the way the game's structured. Spoiler
Explain
alert.
this to me.
There's basically 9 main dungeons in the game. So the first part of the quest, you have these main story quests that send you to each dungeon. Once you get through that main quest, the first part of the quest line where you go through all the dungeons, then you get the second part where you go through the dungeons again, but there's like a B route, and it leads to a different boss. It's more challenging.
Star Fox.
Like Star Fox.
Just like Star Fox.
But
bringing it back.
Once you get to that point, that's where you can take it online. And honestly, the first string of bosses you can do on your own. It's the second string, to really actually beat them, you kind of have a timer, so you need that extra help that the AI companion just can't give. I will say though, that first part of the quest where you're going through the first main dungeons and you don't have access online, there's a lot of quest dialogue at the beginning, so I feel like it would have slowed down online play anyways.
There really is.
You can still play co-op, but then once you get to that second part where you have to go through the dungeons again, and then once you beat normal, it's the same thing, hard mode and Inferno mode. Those are the next difficulties. You don't have to do the begin quest part again. You just go back into the B versions of the quests. Once you get to that part, though, that's really where you kind of need the online players to really help you get through that, because there are some boss battles. Those AI companions were not doing it. I needed real people who could actually react accordingly. So, but I mean, the first part, and it was a few hours, but I was just learning the mechanics of the game anyways. When I go through a second character, that's where I'll probably try to rush through it faster to get to the real meat of the gameplay. But yeah, it didn't bother me too much because like I said, those first few hours I was kind of getting to know the game anyways. So.
But it would affect a second playthrough, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Second playthrough, yes, but I feel like a second playthrough I'll get through it a lot faster, just because I'm. Honestly, when I make another character and I go through again, because I do want multiple characters to try out some of the more end game type stuff, I'll be just skipping all through that dialogue and everything just to get to that point, and then maybe slow it down a bit where I can take my time with it. So.
All right.
But actually, let me note that too, because if you're going through a second character, the story's going to be old, but each character plays different. So when you play a different character, you're going to have to learn the mechanics and really look at where you're putting your points again, because it's not, they're not all the same. They all do play very different. Yeah. So
this game definitely, I guess, wouldn't be for everybody, just because. I mean, if you like Diablo and character building and stuff like that, but to some people, that might be, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be
a little more boring.
It's going to be repetitive. That's the nature of the genre, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's if you like building up characters and finding bigger and badder weapons and seeing your numbers get bigger and bigger and just become more of a badass in a medieval fantasy world. That's what draws me to Diablo. That's what draws me to this.
That's Dragon's Crown.
It has the character building of Diablo and the item drops, and that's really cool. But then it also is that. The Streets of Rage beat 'em up style.
Yeah,
so it's a really good combination.
It's really easy to play.
Yeah.
Complicated to master.
It has the depth, I should say, of the Diablo, but that satisfying just ass kicking of a street brawler.
Even with Streets of Rage, it's got that really unique art style, which is really cool. It really is that cherry on top of the game. It's just
that's
How many times do you fight Y Signal?
What?
It's 0.
In this game, 0, unfortunately.
Streets of Rage, that's one of the punk guys. Y Signal, R Signal.
But it may or may not
Yellow
help
signal is
Galcia.
red
They don't
Yeah,
give
so many
every
names.
enemy a name in this game. It's just orc, ogre. Like they don't try to.
There are no names.
No names.
Owl
so-
bear.
Yeah. Like, fun note, I always want to know who actually sat there and came out with each and every name for those guys, because I've noticed all those the old 16-bit 90s brawlers. All the guys had different
Everybody's
names.
got a name. Well, you'll have
Yeah,
two of the
yeah.
same guy on the screen at the same time with the same name, which is kind of
Well,
funny.
sometimes there's like a Y signal, R signal. Like
Yeah.
they try to make a little bit of variety in those names.
A little bit.
even if it's similar. Yeah.
like Gala or whatever. There's one guy that comes up. Donovan comes
Yeah,
up.
Donovan, Galcia.
Galzia, that's the guy who comes up all the time. He has like
yeah.
no health. But you'll have like
Yeah,
three
yeah.
Galzias and you like get him one time and he knocks down. Sorry.
Yeah, rah!
The 90s, man, I miss him. He's Dragon's Crown.
This Dragon's
Yeah.
Crown's like being in the
Too
90s
much.
again.
Too much animation.
Okay.
Too much.
Brenda
Overall,
Paw!
overall, let's see what we thought. There we go. We got a buy from me. Xander's gonna say borrow on this one, and then buy from Jeff
Yeah,
and
that's
Steve.
impossible.
And then,
Yeah, right. It is impossible, isn't it?
Or
No,
rent,
you can
I
buy it.
guess.
It's a disc game.
Yeah.
You can
no,
get it,
you
yeah.
can. Now this is. Keep in mind, this is on both the PlayStation 3 and the Vita. So if you're one of the few people.
So there'll be a Vita. Will there be a Vita chip version as well, or is it just download?
No, there's a package.
There's a little-
there's a package.
little cartridge?
product. Yeah, you can buy the
Now,
Vita.
now that you showed our scores, let me throw a few criticisms out there. All right, you're going through a dungeon. There's treasure chests. You know what I love to do when I'm hacking through monsters? I want to open the chest and take the treasure. In this game, you have to.
Sometimes you can't do that.
There's a little mouse pointer that you control with the right stick, and that's where there's like random like sparkles in the level. You click on them to find hidden treasure, and you pick it up. The treasure chests, though, and locked doors, you have to click on with the mouse thing, and you have a little like thief companion that comes out and
you have
locks
to
it
use
for you.
you use the cursor and then it
With
calls,
every character has a little companion.
Well, no,
Well,
it's
it's
just
the same guy.
It's one per party.
You got-
Oh, that
you got
little
this
minion is
yeah,
one
yeah, it's
guy.
one guy. I'm pretty sure it popped up in the footage. You have a companion
Yeah.
named Ranny, and you use the key to call him over to open the chest for you or the doors.
And that's how you click on runes and everything, and then like gold and like trinkets that fall. You pick them up on your own, but like to open the treasure chest, unlock the doors. Not game breaking by any means, but it was just a little thing. I was playing through it, and I was like, you know what? I got to the end of all these monsters. I found the secret room. I want to open it. I just want to go up and like smash the treasure chest, and
Open that chest for me.
but I have to click on here. It's like, oh, right here, sir, and he unlocks it, and it's like one just very very minor gripe.
Whoa, hands off
Send-
my loot.
Send Ramkramza.
yeah. You know,
I
I
don't get it.
thought that was cool. I thought that was an interesting thing
Rampreza.
that they put in there. It's like it's a little bit different, and it is a pain in the ass though. Like when the other rogue comes out and like attacks him and
Yeah,
like
well,
like
I like
screws
that.
him up and
I like
blocks him from
how
opening the chest.
because because he's a thief in your party, but then there's like randomly an evil thief will try to steal your treasure, and you got to beat the crap out of him so he doesn't get away with your. I like that, and I did like it like that. There was the runes on the wall because you click on those and you get these runes in your inventory too, and you can do different rune combinations to get like different spell effects like that. And I like to find the hidden treasure too. It just with the mouse interface, it was definitely something that they planned more for the Vita version with the touchscreen.
Oh, you can touch it, right?
Correct. The Vita uses a touchscreen.
yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. That makes sense.
And that's what definitely what they were planned for. It like I said, it doesn't.
It definitely seems like a game that was designed for a handheld touchscreen system that also
it'd be
played
awesome for
fairly
PC.
well on yeah.
Yeah, that I
keyboard
mean,
game,
obviously
Well,
that
can't
would.
you play your PlayStation 3 with a mouse and keyboard?
Not this game at
No.
least. This one's you definitely
yeah,
need
the
to control.
game has to support it.
Back when you
Um,
could put Linux on it.
Yeah.
They squash that.
I mean,
No.
for Vita, the touchscreen stuff definitely good, but I mean, and I've only played this with people online and by myself. I think the most fun you're going to get at this game, and I guess I'll find out when we eventually do this, is have 4 friends together playing in front of a screen, because that's what I've been looking for. Still
local
looking for
co-op, yeah.
Because I mean that's the most.
Can you
fun
do
have
that
with
from the beginning?
these. Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
Okay.
you can. You can.
That's
So-
important to note.
So hopefully we'll have a video of that soon.
I guess like another slight game breaker. I mean, the game for what it is, like it's an awesome game, and like I guess growing up with like side scroller beat 'em ups, like I really appreciate this game. But it is kind of pricey for what it is. But I feel like if you have an appreciation for these games, it is worth the money. But it is kind of pricey.
I see.
Yeah, I think that's what factored into
Especially
Xander's
for-
call on the
yeah.
borrow.
I'm actually gonna respectfully disagree because I think a lot of people are saying that too. I don't know if you're because it's a 2D,
It's not the 2D. I think it's
not at all.
short too.
The art
Right?
actually
No. Here's the
I
thing.
mean, you play through the whole game, and then you get to the B track.
I'm saying for what it is,
to get
like
to the
for the
multiplayer, it's
content,
kinda
because
like-
the game starts to feel really repetitive.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
but
like that you're gonna have that with any beat 'em up game. Like that's
I
just the
agree.
way those
Well,
games are.
You'll have that with any beat. Oh, go ahead.
But I'm saying like the art actually, if anything, helps the game. I feel like that's a major selling point, at least for me.
All right,
And the boobs, the boobs.
the bees.
But
Jeff,
the game
Jeff,
does start to feel a little
basically,
bit
Jeff
repetitive, and
loves
I feel
this
like
game.
because of that, they're charging maybe a little too much for
I
this game
will-
for that kind of.
See, I
reason,
will
you know?
say,
Yeah.
most people have said, because I've heard that argument before, and I think a lot of people are saying because it's a 2D game, which I think is a BS
No,
opinion.
I don't think that
Tom.
is.
The game is
Um,
good regardless.
I think it's
What?
because
I
it's
think-
it's
This should be this should be a $30 game. $30.
No. See, it's already cheaper than most retail games at $50. Here's
It's
the thing.
$9 less.
It's still a price drop. You don't see
It
that
should be
very often.
I
it should be a
know.
$30
But
game.
how much
max.
you pay for Diablo? $60.
Yeah,
That's a
I wish I
big-
didn't pay it all.
That's a big
I didn't play anything for
expensive
Diablo.
PC
Diablo
based
was
game though.
Terrible.
It
Good.
was
Glad
I haven't
glad
played
didn't
either.
touch it.
Diablo 3 was fun. It wasn't as good as it could have been. But okay, fine. Diablo 2, same
Diablo
thing.
2 ruled.
Diablo 2.
Diablo
No, I'm
2,
not
Diablo
saying this
2
game
I
is
got
better
for-
than
I got that for
Diablo 2,
$9.99.
So don't everybody like freak
Yeah.
out.
Tom's yelling
But-
something.
But Tom doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't play video games. And then, here's the
whatever.
other thing. Like, people say, oh, it's repetitive. On my one playthrough on normal, I haven't even gone through hard, and then there's Inferno mode, and your level cap gets increased, you get better loot, and then you also get the Inferno, the Chaos Labyrinth, which is like the endless, like, endgame dungeon where you just get tons of enemies.
Yeah,
and
there's a ton of replayability here.
there's a lot there.
But all the replayability is the same thing
It's
that you've been
based
doing the whole
on
time.
it's
That's
also
what I'm
and it's
saying.
based on a guy like you who's gonna play this game over and over.
Based on a guy
And-
like you.
Well, I'm saying a guy like you is a guy who
Yeah.
likes these games.
I guess
based
You
on
like the album, you
yeah,
like
it's-
this.
it's
But what
like
I'm
The game
thinking though,
rules. I'm not
from a
I'm just
marketing
saying-
standpoint
I'm
though,
saying for our viewers or whatever.
for
or
the
whoever,
average guy who's gonna
Yeah.
say, "What's this game about?" Oh, these guys are talking about it. We'll tell the average guy, they're gonna think it's a lot of money for a game that is repetitive, and they're not gonna play
I think-
Inferno.
but what game
because
is,
they're like, I already played
all right,
through this.
What game
You know
isn't
what I mean?
repetitive? You could pay $60 for a big AAA like title like Gears of War. Sure, it's pretty in 3D, but what do you do in that game for 10 hours? You're going.
No,
to
no,
it's,
that's
it's,
saying
it's
it's
the type
repetitive.
of repetitiveness though, because it's like
Your environment cycles
Yeah.
through a few times.
you know, it's like even like the levels. It's like
Have you
you
played
have the
Gears of
same
War?
level.
It's pretty much the same environment the
I
whole
know,
game.
I know.
Call of Duty, same thing. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But-
I see what
yeah.
you're saying.
I see what you're saying. I think the game rules. I'm just trying to be the devil's
I
advocate.
feel like
That's
if they
fine.
wanted to sell more games, they shouldn't have priced it quite so high for a game that, on the surface, is going to seem like something that else
like
to them.
great
They're
game.
not
I
gonna-
don't feel
They're not going
robbed.
to get all the
I don't
detail
feel
that
robbed
you
paying
get.
full price for this game, but I'm just saying.
And if
I
you play it
would've
on a
paid
Vita,
I can admit that the
It's a
game
lot of
does
money
seem
for a Vita
like
game.
it's a little overpriced.
I
for
would
what it
have
is.
played $60 for it. They gave me a price drop at $50. I'm happy for that. You don't feel like you got robbed though, so I mean that's.
But
something.
that's because I have an appreciation for these kind of games, and like I said, the artwork.
and he's on a TV show reviewing the games.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, well that's what it
It's
comes
a little
down to.
bit
30
of a different environment.
$30 for this game. That's it.
Tom,
What's he saying?
Tom, you don't even like Tom. Tom doesn't even like play any of the games in this genre. He played like Final Fight. Like
How
20
about
years
this
ago.
on the Vita thing?
I just played Sunset Riders.
Yeah!
Money.
That's a
that's
good
a
one.
beat up.
Thing, though.
Bury me with my money.
I thought this would have worked better. What do you guys think about this? What if they had charged $60, but then you get maybe the PS3 version with a code for the Vita? Like,
I think that makes a lot more
If I
sense.
had a Vita, that would be cool.
That
If
well,
you had a
yes.
Vita,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I don't have it, but yes, that I think, and actually,
I think
that's,
it could have gone both
that's
ways, too.
something they should definitely have done because there's no cross
yeah,
play, but
I
there's
would have
cross
liked
save.
I would have liked that.
I don't know who's going to buy a Vita version and a console version just so they can say, well, I can save my game and take it on the go. Like if
Yeah,
it was if it
it's
was
weird.
a cross buy, yes, and I think
So
they
it's
should have
$50
done that.
for a Vita version as well?
No, it's like 40 for the Vita.
I think you're right. It's a little bit cheaper for the Vita version.
I think they should have made it one price for 2 games.
I agree. I would've
Even
liked
if
to have seen
even if
that,
you
yeah.
don't have a Vita, you have it on the PlayStation 3 and
Well, that's one thing I will
don't
say.
know.
They should have did a cross buy on definitely on this type of game, especially where they advertise you can take your save on the go with you. But like I said, no one's going to buy an extra version of a
Even
game.
more valuable would have been
So-
if they were cross multiplayer.
And that's another thing. Yes,
platform.
I do wish they put in. I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah,
doesn't
that's
really
true.
affect
That's-
me, but I think they could have easily have done cross play for this. I think it's not very beautiful looking game. I don't think it's very taxing on either system where it would be like much of an issue to do that. But that's like I said, they're all these complaints I have. You can barely call them complaints. I think they're very minor. I think the game's very much
minor,
worth
yeah.
it. Yes, it gets repetitive, but like I said, if you're into the roguelike type game with like the semi randomized dungeons and loot, you know what you're getting into for a repetitive game. But it's a high quality product.
I'm not saying it's repetitive and trying to knock the game. I'm just
I know.
observing.
He's making a point
I'm just making
for
a
the
point that
average
that's
guy
the way-
who's
that's the
like,
way
"What's
the
this
game
game?"
Screw the average guy. I'm talking to gamers who like good gameplay.
Yeah.
So screw
Hey.
the average guy. You can go back and play The Sims and Farmville.
But
I'm
you
not talking to
you
you.
want the average
I
guy
don't
to
care about the average
experience the better
Wait.
game.
So I
So
have a
by
I
lowering
have a
the
question for
price,
Jeff.
it expands your audience, is what I'm saying.
I have
Wait,
fun.
Jeff,
Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's
he had a
Crown.
point. Go ahead.
I have a question for Jeff. All right, so Jeff, would you agree with our friend George Maddox's assertion that this is the game of E3?
The game of E3. I'd
Yeah.
have to go back and look at all the games of E3 to really
This
say
was like
this
a- this is like
a
a-
game
this
I've
like a
been
big-
looking forward
I think-
for a while since I've
I
heard
think
of it. and
Watch Dogs is the game of E3.
This
That's
was like
maybe that
he
Watch
said
Dogs
he's,
looks good.
TBD.
I have to play all the games that I
I don't know
look
that
forward-
game.
all the games that I've looked forward to on E3, I would have to play through all of them to really say yes. So far, this game has met my expectations, and it was.
because you love this game.
Yeah, I think it's great. Ever since I saw it, I was like.
But like I said, a guy like you love this kind of game.
Dude,
More
I
people,
love this game too.
More
though.
people should be
Okay.
guys
It's,
like
it's a
me.
great game.
So whether you want to pay, $30
Give it
or
a buy.
$50, it's worth buying. Some people might say it's a little pricey.
I'm
but
just
I
saying,
think
I'm kind of cheap. I'm a little cheap.
Everybody should be cheap.
You're a little thrifty, Steven.
I'm sure at some point with PSN Plus being the way it is, or where it'll be discounted.
that
Well,
too.
that's what I was hoping too. I was like, "Oh, I'll get it on PlayStation
like-
Plus. It should be up there." But I thought they would have put that on
yep.
PlayStation Plus right away to try and sell PlayStation Plus, but
And
it wasn't on.
You know what? It like Xander said, it's going to have some sort of price drop soon. So if you don't want to spend the $50 on it, give it a few weeks, and you'll probably see
Come
it
back.
go down. You'll see it go on sale.
Keep your eye peeled.
Or
Yes.
just go with Xander's, review. We're just saying borrow it.
Steal your brother's copy,
Borrow it. Don't buy it.
Yeah,
And
we'll
don't
we'll,
do
bu-
that.
we'll borrow it from Jeff.
because everything's good for free.
Right. Free
Yeah.
is for me.
for
I
me.
really like this game. Part of the reason too is because honestly, who's making 2D beat 'em ups anymore?
Exactly.
Like at
Exactly.
this level of quality.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of indie stuff, and there's other stuff like the Double Dragon Neon game, and we've seen
Castle
stuff, but not-
Crashers.
not
Streets
with
of
not
Rage
with this
remake.
level of,
Wait,
not with this
Let
level
me
of
let me
quality
interject.
and craftsmanship,
Wait,
I guess I would
Chris,
say.
Right.
Let me
What's he-
let me interject and answer your question. You're saying who makes quality 2D beat 'em ups like this anymore? Atlas, and now they're out of business.
Atlas is not out of business. Their parent company went out of business.
That's right.
Yeah, you were on the show for that information too.
Yeah, way to
Yeah.
pay attention,
Yeah,
Tom.
I know.
Sitting
And
right
now,
here.
and now I know, and now they're being potentially bought by Sega, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see
Sega
about
spending money.
Better
On a
Sega than
company.
EA.
Just and just want to throw this out there too about as far as like, again, it gets a little repetitive as far as like worth your money and time though. If you like measure your gameplay worth and like the actual length of the game and how much you paid for it. I played through the normal mode. Like I said, that took me like 14 hours. There's that endless dungeon mode. And if you play the Diablo type, dungeon crawlers, you go through each difficulty mode to get like better and better loot. So one playthrough on one character on normal took me 14 hours. You're gonna want to play multiple classes because they all play different. So, you're as far as like the time sink into this game, you're definitely getting your money's worth with that. But lots of hacking and slashing. So that's.
And
Yeah,
spellcasting.
and then if you're playing with friends, I mean, that really adds a lot to it too, which we haven't done yet.
So I think I've really enjoyed the game. I think once we do a big group playthrough, I think I will enjoy it even more. Anyone else have any thoughts on this game? I feel like I kind of hijacked it.
You love
Yeah,
this
it's
game.
fine.
I
No,
love
it's an excellent game. Guys, that's Dragon's Crown. If you like all the things we've talked about, definitely check it out.